Podcast day. I get to sit here with Min, who has an impossible last name, at least in the English language. Qiu. I don't know of any other word in the English language that has two vowels and three letters, but and we've been working on it. Like I want to say it, but Chu, is that pretty close?
I would say that's...
Give it a shot. Give it in with the inflection, because it's a hard last name.
Well, I would say it like Qiu.
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 Qiu. You know, in the James Bond series, the real brilliant guy that creates all the fancy toys and the this and that, they just call him Q. You know, maybe you could just Q. You know,
I should have went with that. I had a basketball coach that just called me Q, like just Q.
Q. That's
not even Min, just Q. I think I should have stuck with that.
Yeah. Thank God, Min, M-I-N. That I can say that even makes sense. But buddy, thank you for being here. This is it's always a really special day for me to sit here and ask questions of brilliant people like you. I learn a lot. The feedback that we have gotten on this whole podcast series is simply that. It's just like, wow, there's a lot of brilliant people that really, who they are, what they're about, what they do, how they think is really helping people. So I can't wait to unveil some of what you're about. Talk to me about the early days of Min. The influences, the setting, those childhood years. Where did you find yourself right out of the gate? Tell me about your parents, all of that stuff.
Well, so I came to America when I was 10. So the years before that, I was born in '85. So those were some of the later communist years. Right. So growing up, I had a lot of, my family was into Western arts, and they were into opera and classical music. My grandmother was a piano teacher. Mm-hmm. So in China, the opportunities are not like here, where you kind of have to kind of choose a path and really work at it, and you kind of have to stick with it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have that many choices. So so at that time when I was little, we are able to practice Western arts at that point. Kind of skipped a generation. My parents couldn't. They were. It was time they had to work, and they had to do what the government wanted them to do, and Western culture was definitely not one of them at that point. So grew up, they wanted me to be a concert pianist.
When you say they, are you talking about the government? Are you talking about your parents, your grandparents?
My family.
Okay.
Yeah, they saw that. Yeah, they saw that as a path for success.
Wow. And so you started learning that art form from your grandmother primarily at a very young age.
Very early at the start, but I guess they decided that family was not a good choice to teach. So we found the best teachers in the city, and started.
And what city?
Beijing.
In Beijing. Yeah. Okay, big city, lots of people. Mm-hmm. Did you live in the city?
I'll call that within the core of the city.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so give me a normal practice day when you're with these teachers, these musicians, these experts. What does that look like? Is that a pop in and take a half-hour piano lesson and go home, or is it much more involved than that?
The lessons would be once a week. So it would be my mom that she would take time off work. She was very serious about it. So, we would ride the bicycle and go to the lessons. But practice was a daily thing. That was kind of like my son tells me, said Baba, you must have a really bad childhood. Because I tell him about how I grew up, and it'll be about average about 5 hours a day. So
five
practice
at what age?
As far back as I can remember, I started at 3, and then so by the time I think maybe 5, 6, we were that was all the time that I had besides school.
I just can't even imagine. I don't know that I've ever been around. We just got done with the Olympics here, right? And you look at these people that have been doing this at such a young age, but
that's
disciplined to learn it and do it. Well, here you were, disciplined. Did you like doing it? Did you say, oh, I'm looking forward to doing this for 5 hours today? Or as a kid, did you... Give me your thoughts.
That's all I knew, right?
That's all you knew.
I mean, all the kids, there was a small circle of us that were very, very serious, that were at the top of each age group. And the parents, there were different degrees of discipline applied to the kids. And, we knew that we're in some form of trouble if we didn't.
Wow.
So that was just, that's
just
we didn't have a choice.
Wow.
So.
Okay, we're going to come back to this because I have a lot of questions about this in your life today. Mm-hmm. And I want to, but I think the piece now that's so interesting is in those early years, discipline and achievement were somewhat non-negotiable. Is that right?
Correct. I just teach my son that word last night. Discipline.
Discipline, and how it relates to high achievement.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. There's definitely a piece of hardwiring that, I guess, with anything, you could probably take it too far, right. but it certainly has served you in your ability as a musician. But of course, I'm seeing that discipline and just focus of being a huge part of, at least in my opinion, why you're so successful as an entrepreneur. But we'll get there. When your parents were, really guiding you in this direction and making these trips weekly for your lessons and holding this edge of discipline, what did your parents do work-wise during that time?
I would say it's actually majority my mom doing it. She would sit with me for all the practices. She would go to lessons with me. She was a I don't know if they call it a professor, but she was a teacher in a college in Beijing. And then my dad, he worked for a company. I didn't fully understand what his job was, but for a big part of my childhood, he was studying very hard, studying English, so that he could immigrate to the United States.
I see.
So
I see.
And
what did your mom teach in school?
They were both, they met in college, and they were both in textile.
I see.
So researching and testing of textile. And,
interesting. Wow. Amazing. And brothers and sisters?
No, only child at that time. That was the only
you
choice.
didn't even have an escape route through a sibling. you were there. This is it.
Yeah, wow. I had a cousin who in China, a lot of the big cities, we live on these 12, 18, 20 story buildings.
Yes,
right. They're like apartment buildings or condo buildings. So
yes.
I had a cousin who's my mom is a twin.
I see.
So she's kind of like a half sister. So we kind of grew up together. She's kind of like a sister to me.
Yes.
So we were both in piano, and she's still doing it to the day. So she wrote it out. She stayed, and
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Same age as you, roughly?
2 years older.
2 years older. Did you look up to her as, if I keep practicing, I'll be as good as her, or did you feel like you could hold your own back then?
We were. She's 2 years older, so given the training, she was better than me. But I think in terms, I don't think we were, kind of like any siblings. There's times where we're competitive, we're fighting. Our moms are competitive.
Right.
Just you can see how that. So our achievements are all. There's a lot of competitiveness.
Do you have a picture somewhere in your home these days, or in an album of you at a piano when you're 5 years old?
My mom has a lot. I don't.
I bet she does. Yeah. You don't have one?
I don't know.
That might be something to find one and frame it just because it's a piece of your philosophy. It was hardwired in you.
Yeah, definitely had a lot of influences.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Interesting. So at 10 years old, you came to the United States.
Right.
With both mom and dad. Did everybody migrate at the same time?
My dad had a 2-year head start.
I see.
Yeah, so he came for a graduate degree, and then and my piano teacher found a competition that happened to be held at the university that my dad was at. So he took that opportunity and came.
So that gave you the initial visa to come through because of this competition, but then you were able to then work to stay once you're here. Right. Wow. And your mom came too. Yeah.
Me and my mom came together.
Wow. And when you arrived, where was that university that you?
That was at the University of Illinois in Champaign, Urbana.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Shadow was the department head of that university's communication department at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Michael Shadow.
Oh,
yeah,
incredible.
You've heard of him, I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. How was that cultural shift on a 10-year-old from Beijing to Chicago?
It was a shock. It was a shock.
How so?
I think, as far as I can remember, in China, I was very outgoing. I was, I raised my hand, go up to the front of the class. I was top of the class in academics. Yeah. And coming here, everyone's different, right? The culture is different. The language is different. There's a certain level of racism in school, and it's just I think it changed my personality for a long time. Right. It was very different. So I had to almost feel I had to recreate myself to a certain point. And it was very different.
How were your English skills upon arrival?
It was non-existent.
Non-existent. Just because your father had been studying them, he didn't necessarily bring those home and try to help the family with that. He was learning them for his own professional purposes.
I think he was. He had headphones on every night. The only time he would say something to me was when when I wasn't cooperating with piano, right? and then there's some yelling. So that he was like, be quiet.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but there's no. Well, nowadays, a lot of countries, they have English programs or other languages. But back then, that wasn't a thing that kids were into or were taught to learn. So practically, how did you even do school when you got here? The ESL, the English second language.
You just start diving into those classes.
Yeah.
And that was your introduction to English.
Yeah, you just have to adapt and
and
just kind of throw yourself in there. And then certain parts of the day you would go with the other kids that didn't know the language, and start there.
How about your mom? Did she pursue the English language as well aggressively?
She learned just through trial and error. She had to get some jobs in restaurants, and without knowing the language, she couldn't get a job within her field for a while. So she just learned through working at different jobs.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Do you remember the first apartment or place you moved into in Chicago? Do you have a memory of that?
I did. Yeah. Well, we came, and then we were very close to the school. The university, and then we moved a little bit outside, but it was we'll call them C class, B, C class apartments.
What about the overall? Obviously the language, but you mentioned sort of some cultural things, but in terms of just the difference between being in city Beijing to Chicago from a city's perspective. Chicago's a big city, but you weren't right in the city.
No.
Matter of fact, you're, what, about 40 minutes?
Yeah, cornfields.
Yeah, right. You've got cornfields around there. Yeah. How was that for you? Did you like the open spaces? Did you miss the city?
I thought the university was very nice. I don't think I was, I was mostly at home practicing piano, right? So it's not like I was an adult enjoying the amenities of a city or anything like that. So it was more, I liked the environment. The air quality was a lot better. We had a quad, a center of the university with lush green grasses and squirrels. We didn't have any animals in the, in the city, right? So yeah, all the new stuff was pretty great in terms of how the town was. Yeah.
Tell me about was there a point given to you that this expertise in piano was leading to become a professional musician? Was there a point to doing this other than just the enjoyment of learning an instrument to a high level?
I think the goal the entire time was to get to a point where you become. I've growing up knowing pretty much only piano, right? So I had idolized, concert pianists, conductors, so a lot of the greats in the world, and that was kind of the goal the entire time, to be a recording artist and just concert pianist. A lot of the kids that were in the same school, so I tested into the conservatory in Beijing, which was considered a big deal. So a lot of the kids that got in there. Nowadays, they're very well known pianists, so they stuck with it, and they moved to Europe. Some moved to Europe. Some came to school in America to go into graduate school and just became a concert player. But
was it an expectation as well as kind of the end goal? Was it an expectation from your parents that this will lead to that?
That was the goal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you feel that pressure?
To a certain extent. I think after moving here, they became so busy and kind of involved in trying to adapt to the life here. They started to be a little more hands off to me, and then that's when I slowly, not regressed, but the practice time starting to decrease, and just no longer on that path anymore.
Right. Yeah. Was there a time that you remember in your young teen years or wherever that it might have been that this has been great, but this isn't what I necessarily want to do professionally? I want to do other things. I want to spend my time in other ways. Do you remember that time, or was there a time? I mean, I'm assuming there was, because I know what you do now, right?
Yeah. I will say, the teenage years, you starting to care about friends, start to care about girls, and just all the things that other kids are doing. And there's a little more freedom. At that time, I wanted to be a basketball player. I was into rap music for a while there. So there's a lot of other influences. So then it was just not a priority anymore.
Right. And how did your parents handle that?
I think they slowly accepted. I think being a parent now that I am one, is not an easy task. Right? You have your expectations, but at some point you have to let go and let your child do what, create their own path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a beautiful piano in your home to this day, I assume?
Yeah, I have a nice piano. We don't have the space right now for a grand piano, but that's one of the goals to have that.
And do you still play occasionally?
No, I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
But for enjoyment.
Yeah.
Back then, there was competition involved in that part of your life. Was that, whether you won or lost, was that a big measure in your family when you were younger?
Yeah, I do remember. We have competitions within each age group. Right? There's a large and medium competitions in the city, and nationally, internationally. And there was a time where I did very well for my age group, and my cousin did, and my mom told me not to, not to show that. But I think it is important. So, yeah.
It's a world that I think very few people know. It's why I think it's really interesting. But I can also see, like I said, very much so the discipline, the measured approach that this is what it's needed to get to this level. That I really and I think that this is, maybe it's because I'm passionate about that particular topic of there's no accidents to high achievement. There's just nobody just stumbles and falls and is a concert pianist. No one. And so if you want that, if you want to be in a high achievement role or place, finding yourself there, it's the discipline, it's the practice, it's the training, it's all of what goes into that, and you have to be a part of that to get there. So the opposite is some sort of entitlement, like I just deserve this place, but I didn't do anything to earn it. That doesn't really exist in high achievement. Right. You can inherit certain things. You can't inherit the ability to play a piano like a concert pianist. Nobody's going to just, give you a piece of paper and say, here, it's yours. You have to earn it. So, wow. Okay, so this transition now in the States, I assume that there was this pressure of achievement stayed with you into pursuing college, and there you were, like living right at a university. Your dad is very involved in the university. Did your mom get back involved in teaching once she learned English a little bit more?
No, she didn't. She, I don't think she ever got to that point where she could use the English to teach. But so after my dad graduated, he found a job in Massachusetts. So we moved over to the East Coast.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So tell me about your college years. After you graduated from high school, what then? What were you interested in pursuing at that point?
I was after piano. I was actually lost for a while there. I got into school, grades were good enough. I applied to a few places for music, but it wasn't good enough there since I kind of stopped working as hard the last couple of years of high school. So I had no declared major going into college, and I thought about finance, which I should have stuck with it, knowing what I would do now. But once I had to choose something, so I went into exercise science. Because I was into exercising, I was into bodybuilding, I was into just working out, and didn't really have that much aspirations at that point. When you press so hard on something to really, do what most young kids would never do or even be made to do, that letdown or that different place of less discipline was like a foreign country to you. Well, yeah, I didn't really have. I feel like the piano was somebody else's guidance, somebody else's hand, taking me to telling me what to do. Right. But after that, there was rebellions for a few years, right? And then I was didn't have any direction. Just.
Well, the good news is that you had at least another part of your life being fitness. Well, at least that's a positive outlet toward being misdirected. If you're going to tread water somewhere, at least you're staying in good shape doing it, right? It's better than a lot of things that could have happened, I'm sure, right? But you went into that in college, and did you get a degree in that world?
Yeah, I got a kinesiology degree. I was lucky. The school actually had one of the top programs in kinesiology. So lucked into that a little bit. And there's a place here in Bellevue that recruited at that program. So that's how I ended up
here,
all the way out here.
Yeah. And so came here as, in a sense, with a kinesiology major, came to Bellevue and went to work for that facility as a trainer?
Yeah, as a trainer.
Great. Is that facility still around?
Yeah, it was the Pro Sports Club.
The Pro Club?
Bellevue. Yeah, the Pro Club. Yeah.
Mark Dividend, Dr. Mark something started that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot his last name.
Yeah.
Domenico
or something.
Domenico, Dr. Domenico.
I actually went to his memorial service this last year.
Very, very often.
And a great friend of mine asked me to go. He said, you would really appreciate this guy. He was quite a forward thinker. And
absolutely.
And really developed an amazing facility that's there to this day. Yeah. Okay, what took you from kinesiology? Well, let's go piano to kinesiology. We've made that jump. Kinesiology, Bellevue, working as a trainer. Where does real estate enter this picture?
Well, as a trainer, you have some choices, right? We were trading, working split shifts. We're trading time for money, basically, right? And there are guys who have the choice to start their own business, but then I see how things develop with that, and they become more of a business owner, less of a trainer. At that point, I didn't think I wanted to be in the training business. So at that time, I've met my wife. And her dad had the idea. It was a time where there's a lot of Chinese money investing in the States. That was in the news. It was a thing that was talked about a lot. So he had the idea. I'm fluent in Mandarin Chinese, so he thought I should use that skill to earn some greater income potential, and use that to work with Chinese buyers. So that's kind of how, he wasn't pushing me. It was just an idea that came up.
Yeah.
So at that time, I just started doing some reading, looking around online, just see what the possibilities are. And we, like a lot of people, came across bigger pockets, right? So there was local meetups, there was forums, kind of, again, look into other people who are doing it, how they got started.
Right.
I went to a meetup, saw some younger couples that were similar age, and they were flipping houses, they were doing investments.
Yeah.
So that's how we really thought about it a lot more seriously, and thought the possibilities were real. And
wow, at that point in life, you're in Bellevue. Did you own your own home? Did you buy a home when you moved to Bellevue initially?
No.
So this is really brand new at that point. Your introduction to something that was bigger than trading your time for a paycheck. Right. It seemed to have more horsepower than that. Right. And that drew you. Walk me through the progression of that world in your life, because I think that at least the crowd I hang with, they see where you are now, and they're just completely taken and amazed at what you do, how well you do it. But I don't think anybody realizes that relative to life, this is a fairly recent venture. It's not, you haven't been at it that long, which is why I'm intrigued with the way you discipline and focus, because I really think that when discipline and focus meet the right kind of opportunity, amazing things can happen relatively quickly. But the discipline and focus is part of the key. You said you were researching, you looked into it, you were discovering. Take me from there to, a bit about what your day looks like today?
Well, the real estate was something, I wasn't in it at all, right? I didn't own my own home. I didn't know how that process went. So at that time, it was really just, I felt like I had to take a risk, and I didn't know what I didn't know. To this day, I owe it to my wife for believing in, what I could possibly do. My father-in-law helping us with some of the financing in the very beginning.
Yes.
So it's just jumped in without knowing a lot of things. I simply read a book, read some stories. Found an agent who helped us find a house to flip, and found a contractor, and we just got into it. There wasn't a whole lot of I can't recall who I talked to or whose words of wisdom I listened to at that time, but it was really just, you can't think too much to get started, or you never get started.
Just go.
Yeah. Just go. So I figure, we just do it. You're buying an asset, at least the money's in something.
Right.
So
Exactly.
just do it.
If we bought it right, maybe we could sell it for what we paid, and we're right back there. Good. Okay.
Right.
That's a win. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
If you could get in and out initially without losing, that's a win.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Your wife, tell me about her, her belief in you, you've stated, but her own expertise in this field. She had perhaps some more exposure to it through her father. Did she have, would you say, more confidence in this than you did?
She was into, well, let's say this, her family was also immigrated to the United States, and her family got their start here as small business owners. So in terms of just entrepreneurship, financing, knowing what to do with money, buying assets, building assets, they're a lot more versed in it. So she had more exposure in that. She owned her own condo. So we used some of that to help
some
fund.
experience there.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. So she was definitely a lot more, had more knowledge just in that area. But in terms of flipping the house and kind of the financing for that, and how to buying and selling, construction. We still look back at that time, our contractor, the first house, he promised us 1 month. It took 4. It actually wasn't bad, but 1 month.
It's only 4 times off. No problem.
That was good times. I remember going on vacation and coming back and thinking that he would be done. It was very stressful. It was nowhere close.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like, oh boy, I better have a plan B? I guess you could always go back to being a trainer if things didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
But did you ever think that entrepreneurship wasn't for you, or were you just drawn to it and never had that doubt?
Well, I was still full time at the pro club the first 3 years or so. I think the first 3.5 years I still worked full time. And then during the breaks in between the split shift, I would go to the projects. I would do other things, marketing.
Kind of like a fireman having a second career while you're being a fireman, in a sense. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so this has evolved this into something today that I'll just be the one to state it. You're known in the Seattle area for doing some really, really thorough. I'm talking not just cosmetic little cleanup and resell, but I mean some projects that arguably building a new home might be easier. Some big, beautiful, amazing remodels of homes in a very relatively high price point. This isn't beginner starter homes in the $300,000 to $500,000 range. There's some homes here that are millions. I take me through the evolution of your knowledge in buying single family homes renovating them and bringing them back onto the market? That's a big question, because there's so much to know about that. Right. But think on what you've learned with that process, and what you feel you could pass on to somebody as being like, after all of these projects, here's some things that I really feel like I've gotten a handle on. Here's my go, my no-go. Here's what makes a project successful, and here's some things that I've missed and never again. Just go for it. Just talk to me about flipping houses.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's definitely a process. I was in the beginning. I was taught to find a GC, right? Have them take care of the project, and then and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But after my second flip, that we didn't lose money, but only made a little bit. I met a partner who I still have some partnership projects with. He told me to become my own general contractor, and learn how to subcontract out and learn the trades, learn the pricing, and just get a lot more into the construction parts of it, so that you can, there's you have more options at that point. Mm-hmm. So it started off using general contractor, doing not everything. Maybe I would sub out a thing or two myself. I learned how to get bids, learn the pricing structure, and then later on, the general contractor would become more of a subcontractor. Then I would be I would make more decisions at that point and have more of oversee the project as a whole, and the planning, the bidding, the designing, and then getting into the finish line. I think the project actually that I would say that kind of pushed me into even larger projects, had the confidence to do it, was actually our own home. I think it would have been a little over 4 years ago. We found an old home through marketing in Mercer Island, and it was my wife who thought, okay, we should move here. And take advantage of the schools, and the area is just a good chance to build some equity. And that house was, I think today, still about 50-50, whether you would be a tear down or you would do a very large renovation to it. So at that time, I had we didn't have the funds to do new construction, and I didn't have the experience and knowledge to do it. So we decided to do gut the house, build an addition to it, and to save money, I became I was general contracting the entire project. So there was a lot more parts to that one versus a lot of the other projects that I've done. And when it's your own house, you care about every detail of it. So I got into things, the building science, and there's just the little stuff that's involved in building, and just learn a lot. And I think that kind of propelled me to just have the confidence to take on much larger projects.
Bigger ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you paid for that house 4.5 years ago?
Oh, that was we paid $950.
$950. Do you remember roughly how much capital you had to put into that?
Yeah, I put in $750 to $800,000.
Yeah. Okay. So today, what do you think that home is worth?
Actually, it hasn't changed too much since then. So that was right around COVID. So it got appraised at about 2.8.
Yeah, right. And yet still, that's a lot of equity in one project over 4.5 years, right. in a time where there hasn't been a lot of appreciation growth. Arguably, it's kind of taken a pull backwards, and now it might be kind of catching up. It's been like a swirling pool. You can't really read it, but I would say that with someone that has those skills, just in what you've done to your own home and the equity gain you've had there, if you take that and divide it by 4.5 years, most people don't make that much money in a year, not even close. And so it's, to me, this is where these skills can truly accelerate your investor world, not necessarily doing the work, but like you said, having the knowledge of how to hire correctly, not letting anybody ever take advantage of you because you know what things should cost and how things can be done. So that big project opened the door to many others that have come since then. So the best project where things really clicked, where you felt like I saw this going in, my estimates were solid, the time frame was solid, I came out, where it really went well in all capacities. Tell me the best project.
In the flip world, that's it's really hard to get. I have a lot of bad when it comes to the good. I mean, to hit all those marks, budget, timeline. It's honestly, I can't say I had one.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's the best of them? And what, because that becomes it's like the perfect golf game. You never have one.
No, it's
but you just said a lot just in the way you would measure the perfect one is budget, timeline, expectation of return, how quickly it sells in the marketplace, how much leverage I felt like I had to negotiate the number I needed, perfect location. I mean, all of these things are the measures that constitute that. I'm not saying there is the perfect one, but what's the best one you felt best about?
Well, the one that success-wise, right? I mean, when it comes to the flip business, the profit is going to be the main measure at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I will say there's one project in Ravenna that was the biggest profit that we ever had, and I mean it was a matter of we definitely had the help of the market at that point. I mean, we bought in the late fall. We sold it in the middle of spring. Market was going up at that time.
Right.
We didn't stick with the budget, like a lot of projects. I mean, kind of one thing you said, the thoroughness of a project, with a flip, you just discover so many unknowns. So one of the biggest things I found out is just we have to buy correctly, have enough padding behind it, where you can save yourself with the right purchase price. And if you do find things that you didn't expect, you have you can spend the money to make it right, deliver a good product, and still sell it within the possible range for the neighborhood at the end of the day. So that particular project's kind of the market. We rolled the market up a little bit. We went over budget about $60,000. So actually a little more than that, $75,000. So we went from $275 budget to $350,000. But we sold it at the right time, and we had our.
What would you say is an expected before tax margin that you want to make? Is it a function of what you paid for the property? Do you take a function of what you paid plus a function of the hard costs that you put in? Put a component of the time it takes? I mean, how do you calculate the kind of return you would like to get on a project? Everybody has their own formula.
Yeah, that's it's really variable. I think for me right now, I mean, it changes, depends on the market conditions, and also changes based on location. If it's convenient, and if I know the neighborhood really well, it could shrink a little bit. But typically, I have my calculator or on the computer if I want to do something very detailed, or I have my phone calculator that I could plug numbers in. Yeah. But typically, in terms of, I look at coming out of the project with at least 12% of the final sale price. So I would calculate that in to the initial budgeting and the deal analysis. And, but if it's a bigger project, obviously that would add more contingency to that.
And so the scope of work, the time it takes, if something is relatively simple and relatively quick, 12% of the sales price before taxes is a reasonable measure.
Right.
If something takes longer, if something has a bigger budget, the unknowns become more of time and cost. Right. Then an expectation, because you're taking more risk, of a greater before tax return would be reasonable.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, all of those metrics, I think everybody finds their own way to measure. I like to think in terms of what's my exposure with this project. Exposure isn't just cash put out. Exposure is the debt you're signing on. Exposure is also measured in time, because the longer you're standing in the road, the greater the chances are you're going to get hit. So time becomes a measure of exposure. But the greater the exposure, right, the greater the profit needs to be.
That's right.
I look at everything as sort of a measure of risk. Taking on a project like this there's a lot of risks that you're taking, subjective and financial. Time being the subjective valued risk. Liability is the subjective valued risk. You're warranting things. There's people walking around at job sites. Somebody gets hurt. There's all kinds of things that can go on. But I think that's really cool. Give me some of the highlights that come to mind of things that you've learned. And I guess I just want to say it this way, the hard way, like a miscalculation. I didn't think of this, and all of a sudden there it was. Anything come to mind like that in the world of flips, that you saw it one way, but it went very differently, and now you know better?
There's a lot of examples. There's in off-market real estate. There's sometimes when things get competitive, we don't have the time, don't have the chance to perform a inspection beforehand, and if you miss something, that could be detrimental. I think I shared with you a project I did a little while ago where part of the house had no foundation, and we just somehow missed it.
Yeah.
And then the same house also we didn't do an inspection, so the same house also had a clogged sewer at two different locations. Right. So just having, I guess, having enough freedom and enough deals in the pipeline to have that choice is very important. Yeah. There's other times where I become too busy with a lot of projects, and we don't spend enough time thinking about the floor plans that we created and thinking about how practical a space is going to be. Then when it's built, you stand in the space. Yeah, this is not going to work. Right? I think a lot of guys in the industry probably have that experience at some point.
Yep.
Change things around in the field after it's framed, after it's plumbed, or
right.
Yeah. So there's the more planning, the better.
Right. Yeah. I think of one, early in my career, what I thought was going to be a very simple flip, and did calculate that, it needs a new roof for sure. And so, being somewhat, I don't really know, because now I think, how did I not know better? But I could see it needed a new roof. So I spec'd out what a new normal comp roof would cost to put that on, tear this one off and put one on. Well, when we finally got to it, there were 4 layers of roofing on this already. So the tear off was just unbelievable. The time and the hauling away. Well, then it finally got down to that there wasn't really sheeting on the house because the original roof was a shake roof that was under there. So there was skip sheeting, and most of it was rotted. And so all of that comes. So now we're sitting there with literally like stick framed framing, which half of that was 2x4s. So all of a sudden we had to scissor all the roof framing, brace it. Of course, permits and inspections on that before we could even sheet it, right?
Yep.
That was a $25,000 miscalculation just on the roof. And I went, oh wow, quit being so fast at thinking you know it all, you know, slow down. I did another one where it was right out of the gate that, oh my gosh, the siding is such bad shape. I'm just going to rip it off and re-side it. And I'm 3/4 of the way to ripping it off, and an inspector stops by and says, "What are you doing?" Well, I'm just going to put new siding on. What's the problem? And then he says, "Do you know what that is that you just ripped off?" And I said, "The old siding?" And he says, "This is asbestos."
That's
and I had it better than half ripped off, in my trailer. And I'd already taken like a couple loads to the dump. And he went, "Where are you taking this? And you can't take this to the dump, and you need a special permit." And that one ended up costing me about $50,000.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
It just made my heart sink. You know?
Exactly.
What you don't know can be really expensive. What you don't see. And you're right. It's the nature of remodel is as much as you look into it, it's still exploratory surgery. You don't really know until you start ripping out. With that in mind, and with this idea of planning and spaces and really studying it, tell me about your thoughts around new construction versus remodeling.
I like it.
Like you do a big addition. Mm-hmm. Really, no surprises, right?
Well, with addition, you still got to tie it into
You have to tie it in.
house.
But that new part that you're building is straightforward. There's a set of plans. Build it. Yeah.
I've done a handful by this point. I think since we last talked about my projects, I've taken on a lot more in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I think just the way the new land use mandates in the state, the way things have developed, it makes a lot more sense to utilize that and create a portfolio and using that. So.
Or a combination of both, much like Jimmy is involved in, you might remodel the house that sits on the front of the lot, coming down the alley side, maybe 2 or 3 units back there of new construction, combination of the two. Yeah, I can tell you that was a big change in my world from remodeling, a ton of houses and small apartments to the first new construction plat I built was 4 duplexes. Mm-hmm. And how relatively simple it was, how clean it was, how organized I could be, how scheduled I could be. That was the start of it. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm way more in control of this than any remodel I'd ever been in. Right. It seemed more enjoyable to go there. You're not working with nasty lath and plaster and crap falling from the ceiling you just pulled down. And, it all goes in order from foundation up. And it just seems neat, tidy, and organized. And if you get better at it, you pick up your scraps in a 5-gallon bucket and leave. It's no waste. I really loved that, which led to building an awful lot of buildings, new construction, apartment buildings mostly. Mixed use, some commercial. Do you see new construction as being another accelerated division of your company going forward?
Yeah, actually, at this point, I actually have more of that versus remodels now.
That's awesome.
Kind of like you said, I've found a lot of projects where it pencils a lot better when we can keep the existing house and build more units on the same property, easier to finance versus full new construction.
Absolutely.
And makes the deal, the returns a lot higher at that.
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned this kind of strange floor plan that you kind of the best you could come up with in a remodel, because you're working with existing footprints, you know, and you got to go, well, how do we make the best of this?
Yeah.
But when you're drawing it from scratch, theoretically, you can be a lot more attentive to what you really want to do and create it.
Right.
Versus the adaptation piece that's a part of almost every remodel. You know, I've really gotten sold on that idea too, because how many homes have you walked through that somebody did a remodel and went, what the hell were they thinking? You know, I mean, this makes no sense at all. Nobody would build this new this way.
No.
They're just adding this on or making this work, or basements with 6.5 foot tall ceilings, you know, things like that doesn't work, you know. But there's no excuse when you're designing from scratch and building. And the thing that I think people get hung up on is that they say, well, that sounds hard. I've never done that. Well, you never remodeled a house before and you did it anyway. You learn by doing. Well, and you get better at it. Right. How often are you on site with a tool belt around your waist, helping somebody hang sheetrock or frame a house or whatever? How often do you find yourself with tools on, working on the site?
None. Never.
Never. Yeah.
Actually,
I want people to hear that.
Yeah.
That was a rhetorical question, but I want people to hear that. That a contractor contracts. That's what they do.
Right.
And tell me about that process. You have 3 bids. They're plumbing bids. What do you look for?
It's a little bit of an art there too. I feel like there's, obviously there's a licensing thing. There's their communication. References would be great. That's I think. I mean, if I can get a contractor through a referral from another contractor that I know that's done a great job, even different trades, that would be optimal. But this, I think even today, I've dealt with so many different contractors in so many different trades. It's still a little bit of a risk working with new ones, even if they are property licensed and have certain referrals or history or pictures or videos or project history to back it up. It's just a bit of a wild west in the contracting world, especially for investors. I think, actually, I shouldn't say that. Homeowners get even the higher price guys are not 100%. But
you said it right in saying there's a bit of an art form here, and yet there's also part, as you mentioned, that's a checklist. Right. I need your license, your bond, your insurance. I need 3 historical references and 3 projects you're working on right now. I want to go by those sites. I want to see you in action. One of the things that I always like to do is in an application to be a new contractor, I'd ask them where they live, and I would go by their home. And I'd just look at it. And if there's shit all over the place and half-done things on their home, that concerns me. I look at their work truck. If there's 8 inches of crap on the dashboard and you can't find a tool to save your life, not on my job site. It's kind of like what you are in anything is what you are in everything. And I want to see that you're a pro. that you're, gosh, I can remember, God bless him, I hope he's listening someday to this, but my electrician, Pat Pearson, oh my gosh. Now, an electrician should be exacting, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, you go to that guy's work van, and it looks like it looks like a surgical headquarters. It's built out in the inside, every tool, every drawer. There wasn't anything he didn't have, and it was exactly in the right place. Every day he would do immaculate work. He would clean up his mess. He would sign that panel box as a piece of art. I mean, the way the wires just perfectly tidy. It was just immaculate.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, when you're immaculate with your work, you're immaculate with your bill paying, your supplier paying, your contracting registration up to date, insurance up to date. You know, you are what you are in everything. So to me, that was also a really big deal. Is I want to really see that you're a pro, not just somebody working out of their trunk. You know, so. That's a big deal. But I like people to hear that you don't have to be, you know, on the site doing the work to be an amazing contractor. Matter of fact, I'd argue to say the best contractors I know, they have the knowledge of what's happening on the site.
Right.
They're respected for their knowledge, but they're not there because they're really doing an excellent job with scheduling, contracting, accountability, those things.
Great.
You're a leader. You know, GC is a leader. So you're doing an amazing job in that department. So how many people do you have on your payroll? Do you have a W-2 employee that works with you day in and day out?
I don't. I have a virtual assistant that works with me, that helps with me, my marketing for off-market leads and
right.
And that's it. That's it.
What percentage of deals that you stir up that turn into projects, be it new construction or remodel, do you find yourself, or how do leads come your way for the most part, Min?
Mostly through direct mail. And I would say maybe 80-90% of all the projects are through my own marketing. They tend to pencil a lot better. That
saves you a lot of wholesale fees, a lot of commissions.
Right.
Yeah. Excellent. And do you send those letters out by, I guess I'm thinking, you know, location, obviously, but do you get more specific than that in your hunting?
I send by life events and also by location. So I don't do a whole lot of volume, but I tend to be a lot more precise with the list that I send to. And I want to make sure every lead that comes in, either they're in a position to sell or it's a property that I feel like I want to buy in a location that I want to buy.
You know, with these new ADU, DADU, well, let's just call them density laws that are going into code in many cities right now. Certainly Seattle's one. It's occurred to me that you know, the high likelihood bird, as we describe them, is that, for example, that house that has a street frontage and an alley access, so that you have the ability to go in both ways. Have you considered breaking your hunting down into zones that have each a street frontage and an alley, a street and an alley?
Yeah, that's one of my one of the tasks for my virtual assistant. She's been doing that for I would say 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
To just drive for dollars on the app.
Absolutely.
And we're looking on the different satellite views, different city views using GIS maps.
Right.
I taught her how to look at trees. Actually, the tree is actually less of an issue now than before. But we look at the location of the existing house on the lot, the condition of the home.
Right.
when it was sold, configurations and things like that.
Even zooming in to see what the neighboring houses look like, what's across the street, might have the alley and the frontage, but you've got a tear down hoarder's house next door. You better buy that too, Right. So, well, this is the science, I think, of it. But I also think it points out something really interesting, that as an entrepreneur, you're orchestrating not only the acquisition of property, the setting up the finance of the property, the decision as to the floor plan, the game plan on the remodel, the floor plan, what you're going to build, the product. You're orchestrating that. You're orchestrating the marketing to bring the lead your way, making sure that's going on. The accounting ultimately is up to you to figure that out as well. The bill paying, it's a lot to be an entrepreneur.
It is.
A one-man show. But another thing I want people to understand is, like, let's just look at gross sales of finished product in a year. Rough estimate of finished product value in a year's worth of projects. What kind of volume of capital are you dealing with in a year with essentially a one-man show subbing this all out?
In terms of sale price for projects?
Yeah.
I guess anywhere from 5 to 10 million, depending on.
Yeah. And, I think also that's incredibly inspiring. People think, oh, that's a huge company that must be involved in that. They must have people in every department. Nope. You're looking at the department with some help that you hire. I think that's inspiring. I really do. And when you transition to the new construction world, now all things are possible. We've discussed a piece of property that you have in the university district that has multiplex potential. Right. Walk me through that potential that project has.
Well, we purchased that at a time where it wasn't a great time. Actually, that's when cap rates were low.
Yeah.
And or a cap, but since then, since that time, it became less desirable to develop that property.
Right.
But we run a pretty nice Airbnb right now.
Yeah.
Rent by the room.
How many units could you put on that property if you scraped what's there?
Approximately 40, given what others on the same street has been.
And there are 4 there now?
There are...
How many units now?
7.
7. So from 7 to 40.
There.
And so, okay, if it covers itself now, it gives you some time to create some amazing plans and to, at least that has that future expandability piece.
Right.
I'm privy to a vacant lot right now that's 10,000 feet. 10,000 foot lot, flat as a board, nothing on it. Alley access, 10,000 feet. And it's approved, permitted for 66 units.
66.
6 stories of micro units. 66 units you can put there. And I think, wow, is it harder to build a 66 unit than it would be to build a 8 unit?
Well, if everything is drawn out correctly, it's not.
It's the same process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Right.
I mean, it's the same permits. It's the same inspections. The same subcontractors. Maybe you'll need some scaffolding that you wouldn't on a 2-story, right? But I think that is also one of those things that when that light bulb clicks on, you go, because now you add the scalability piece to the overall equation.
Yeah.
Which creates more padding, less vulnerability. Yeah. I think that I'm just excited for you because I come back to this discipline that you have towards and this focus. It's my experience with you that you take this very seriously, and your discipline and your organization, right, is what's a big part of this success is that you're attentive to the details. Do you think your piano instruction in part created this appreciation of details?
Yeah, I think definitely there's a part of it that's ingrained. Learn to appreciate it, and just what it takes to get to a certain point in a skill, no matter what it is. Right. Yeah. That attention to detail has got to be there. And
I'm not an aficionado by any means, but I have attended some performances at like Benaroya Hall things. I went to one this last summer that was music in the park, music in the guy travels around with a grand piano on a trailer and forms a crowd. I'll send you the link. It was at Carkeek Park. Oh, yeah. There's 500 people there, and it's amazing. But the exactness of certain pieces of music that he was playing, it's like it's so exacting. It's not just sort of general sound or general chords. It's every little note is just exacting. And that left brain mind to get to that organizational point, to be able to deliver it that way, I was just in awe of it. I've seen the end result on many of your projects, see the pictures, and it is beyond tucked in. It's exacting. And this is, I think, where, although you may not be, having pursued piano in your world, I think it's showing itself in your final product is like a performance. It's exacting when it comes out, and it shows, man. That's really,
thank you.
That's huge. That's huge. You have any goals personally that relate to the construction real estate world that you and your wife aspire to? Anything just for fun? Any Oz kind of properties that you have up your sleeve that you'd like to create for your own use? At this point, I think, actually since coming to the hangar and meeting you, I started, thinking bigger, and from a little bit of nudge that you gave. So I think from that point on, we started looking at how to do bigger projects and keeping more of it. So I think right now my sole focus is on building, utilizing the new land use rules and building more units to hold. And at a certain point, obviously we like to get a vacation home in Hawaii, and Maui is our favorite place to go for vacation. Yeah. And take it a step at a time. There's always going to be, I'm doing less full remodels now in terms of a percentage of the overall. Mm-hmm. But I still enjoy fixing and creating something from an old home. So I think maybe one per year would be something like that. Right. Once
a year would be still enjoyable. Still a goal of mine.
Keep your brush in that paint a little bit. Yeah. Tell me 3 books that you've read, or it could be 3 podcasts you've listened to that have really influenced you, that have helped you. I know you're a student of the game constantly. Mm-hmm. What would you recommend people dive into?
Oh, well, I was looking back. There's some books I only read for, I guess, information is consumed a lot differently now, right? So
yes.
They're consumed in pieces, right? Uh-huh. They're for different resources, long, short, videos, clips, and
yes.
But but when it comes to reading, there's certain parts of my life I read a lot where for either I'm going through certain challenges or just I needed a lot more knowledge in a certain field. Mm-hmm. Looking back, there's a book that it's been I would say over 10 years since I read it. but it really changed the way I train clients, trained the way I thought of what's possible for myself and everybody else. My parents or anyone aging, going through sickness or any type of disease. It was called the Brain That Changes Itself. It was my first introduction to neuroplasticity. It's just instead of looking at the brain as something that you can't teach an old dog new tricks type of thing, where you just you just get slower and you're done learning, right? But in this case, I learned that even if you lose 90% of your brain or more, what's left can still do almost everything that you thought was possible, and our capacity to change our body, our brain is so incredible, and
wow.
You can learn new things no matter what circumstances you were given. So
that's amazing. I love the metaphor too, not just the physiology of it, but the metaphor of change. I love that.
Yeah.
You still obviously prioritize your fitness in a big way. What does that regime look like to you now, in your life as a busy entrepreneur? How do you navigate those two things?
I think I feel pretty fortunate that I was able to spend about 10 years in that field, not including college. And I feel like it's given me the skill to take care of myself through hardships, through business or stressful days or, so as of right now, I try to move every day, try to have a variety of different types of movements. So whether slow cardiovascular work or sprinting or jumping, a little bit of sports, weightlifting, something every day. I keep track of my calorie intake, my activity, just to keep myself. Cause I'm a strong believer that having a healthy body creates a healthy mind and keeps you sharp to do everything else you want to do.
Right, right.
And longevity is a big thing. So.
Right. Wow. Yeah. And practically, when do you work this movement into your life? Is it different every day, or do you have a set time?
Mostly in the afternoon before I pick up my son from school. And then every day after dinner, I try to get some of the blood sugar, even out my blood sugar. Make sure I don't hold that throughout the night. Right. It helps with start of the fasting process through sleep, and helps it benefits keeping the body fat down. And get better sleep that way. So it's kind of two different time periods where I try to get some movement in. Intensity is
early afternoon and after dinner.
And after dinner.
The movement reduces the blood sugar count in your body. Yeah.
The blood sugar spike, glucose spike after dinner.
Right. Right. Yeah. Wow. I love that there's knowledge that you have, true trained knowledge that you have that applies to a program that then creates the feeling that you get, that you feel healthy as a result. It's like the full process. Knowledge leads to action, leads to the result you're looking for. Right. And I think that process is the way it should be, versus like, well, I'm not really sure why this makes me feel better, but it does. Well, why does it? And then you understand it, so then you really become, here's that word again, disciplined in that, because you see the results. You understand the results. You want the results. I think that's fantastic. Are you encouraging your son to play the piano?
He is learning it. He's learning it, but I'm not pushing him nearly as hard. Yeah, it's more for the development of the both sides of the brain. That was growing up. That was a big thing, and I think it's still relevant that you're implement both hands, get that left-right brain to work, get the work together. I think music, being able to read music, puts a different level of enjoyment to music in the future, and I feel like music is very important for everyone. But I feel like learning it and knowing it is puts a different level of appreciation to that. So I'd like him to have that, even though he's sometimes he's not having it.
So I think there's many people who I've heard of that have said, well, I was kind of forced to do the piano when I was young, but somehow I wiggled my way out of it. And then as adults, they go, I wished somebody had made me stick with it, because now I wish I knew how to play really well. Mm-hmm. I've heard that. And so that's that tough challenge of a parent, is how tough do you get to help them stick with it? I had being involved in scouting was just something my dad did because it was a really big part of his life and the influences that he sought, because he had no father. But it was kind of like, you're going to get in scouting, and the understanding is once you start something, you don't quit until you're done.
Right.
That was the given. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that we ever had a discussion about that. That was just the understanding.
Right.
But I remember at about my star level of Boy Scouts, I was way more interested in sports than I was in scouting. And I went to Dad and I said, hey, I really got a full plate with sports here. I think I'd like to focus there, and wanted to know if I could just sort of step out of, scouting. It's been great, but just kind of, and I'll never forget, he looked at me and he just says, oh, I totally get it. Absolutely. You can step out of scouting as soon as you have your Eagle Scout. So get on it.
Get on it, right?
and I became the youngest Eagle Scout in the state of Washington at the time, because the only way to quit was to get an Eagle Scout.
Right.
And so, but now, although I went kicking and screaming back then, now it's something that I have no reason I should be proud of it, because I would have quit had it not been for him.
Right.
But I am kind of proud of it, that my dad, my brother, and I have Eagle Scouts, and I thought, wow, he saw something there that I didn't see at the time. And that's a challenge to hold the line, as a parent.
Yes.
But I've heard a lot of people wish they knew how to play the piano and they just didn't stick with it. So is it true that it's easier as a child to learn and take up the piano or a language or something like that versus as an adult?
Yeah, there's definitely truth to that. Uh-huh. There's, when it comes to the brain plasticity thing, right? There's skills, and there's a language circuit, the language part of the brain that you get to fill up. If you fill it all up with one language early on, then you have to. It's tough to rewire that. Mm-hmm. But if you wire a new language into that circuit, and people that are multi-languaged or do dual language, they're able to switch between languages seamlessly, right, without much thinking. And I think that part is just it's definitely harder when it comes to. So
is it a getting out of your own way to be open to the learning that is the difficult part? Or is it physiologically something that happens to the brain that makes it more difficult?
I would say it's physiologically. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's given the same environment, it's possible, but in terms of how plastic it is and how much space there is for it to include it, it takes more.
More of an effort. Yeah.
More
interesting.
Yeah.
Which is why those early years are really critical years.
Yeah.
I think the opposite is true from what I've read, that sometimes very dysfunctional hardwiring. The brain at a young age just accepts it, understands it. That's the messaging. That's the hardwiring. And to undo it as an adult, if it needs to be undoing, is also very difficult. To remove it, to to remodel it,
It is.
or to just rip it out and start over. It all is really difficult sometimes, but
it's all possible.
But it's all possible. Yeah, but it's all possible. That's why that book is really an interesting one. I'd love to look into that. Really, really good. This podcast oftentimes ends with this question, and I want to just see your thoughts. That at the end of this, Min, you're a husband, you're a dad, you're a businessman, you're really in the middle of all of this amazing things that you're doing in your life. When it's all said and done, what is the legacy you hope to leave behind you? What do you want people at your memorial to say, this is who he was, this is what he represented, this is his mark? What is that going to look like for you?
Can't say that's something that I thought about.
I know. I always pull one out of my sleeve at the end to not give you any time to think about. I'm a fairly private person. I don't go out there, put myself out there too much when I don't have students or give speeches, things like that. But I feel like if I can leave this world, having taught my son and had a positive influence on the other people around me to do what I should do, show that I had the proper discipline, the proper respect, and just stuck with my beliefs. And that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot right
I just
there.
want to pass on the right things to my family and treat everyone the way that I believe that they should be treated. And I haven't thought about that one.
Min, when I think of you, and I've watched you in the context of power players, I've watched you engage with people. You are a man of fewer words. But the fact of the matter is that when your actions are what they are, you don't need a lot of words. People just watch you. They see how you operate. They see the consistency of what you're about. And people don't listen much, but they do observe. And so I guarantee you, your son's watching you, your wife's watching you, but I have a whole community that's watching you, right? This power player community highly respects you because they see the way you live your life. They see the way you do what you do. And I don't think you even know they see it as much as they do, but they do. Yeah, you think you're flying under the radar, and I love that part of you, that you don't need the accolades or the acknowledgement, but it's when somebody keeps going from one project to the next, to the next, to the next, certain assumptions can be made. And they go, wow, how's he just creating these beautiful projects? And just, do you see how much Min has going? And they're kind of, they wonder, how does he do it? Because it's a lot. There's, you look so calm. I want to see if you've ever been flustered, but I think that internal game that you're playing, that mind internal game that you're playing is something that is truly admirable. The control you have, the competence you have, your demeanor is always so level. And I've thrown you in some places trying to rattle you, trying to see if, and you just competently move through it. I think that really, really, really is amazing. So know that the legacy is being formed right now. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, I'm certain of that. So, buddy, thank you. This hangar is not on the way to anywhere. It's out of your way. But thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and wisdom on business and life. What a contribution to to this bank of amazing people that have contributed their thoughts and expertise here. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Kevin.
And we're going to be in good touch. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, you bet, buddy. Okay.